What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. And this one is some of my final thoughts ahead of the Game Week 2 deadline. So I'm going to go through the latest team news information, some other hot topics that we got to talk about, and then answer some of your questions as well. So let's get into it. So let's start with the latest team news. For Brighton, Fabian Havertz said he's confident that Matt O'Reilly will stay at the club and not be sold. Obviously, we can't guarantee that because the transfer window is still open. But once it's closed, if he does stay, he's only 5.5 million, took a penalty ahead of Ruta in Game Week 1 and started number 10. There is definitely potential value there. I wouldn't rush into buying him though. Brighton's fixtures are a little bit mixed right now. And also they've still got a lot of options in that attack. So it was O'Reilly 10, Ruta 9. But it could be Welbeck plays number 9 and Ruta plays number 10. So there's no guarantees there. But keep an eye on that. 5.5 million is potentially really good value. I do think that if he's on the pitch, Welbeck will be first choice penalty taker. But the more that O'Reilly takes, the less likely it is that someone else will take them instead if he's on the pitch. So just keep an eye on that. For Chelsea, Tosin's available. So lots of you took the punt in Game Week 1. I would assume he'll come straight into the 11. So if you've got him, I'd be pretty confident he will play against West Ham away. So if your intention was to play him this week, then that is what I would do. Fofana might get some minutes. Let's wait and see what happens. Nicholas Jackson's available but won't be in the squad. So it looks very likely that he's going to be sold this summer. Maresca did say that if he's not sold, he'll be reintegrated. But as it stands, João Pedro's only got competition from Lee and Delap for that number 9 role. They could just go and play someone else there, right? Like Neto, for example. I don't see that happening very often while Delap and João Pedro are fit. So if you've got João Pedro, do not knee-jerk him out. He's more than viable to keep hold of. The big news from Thursday is that FRIMPONG is out until after the first international break. So he's going to miss at least Game Weeks 2 and 3. And then potentially, if he's not back after that international break, he could miss Game Weeks 4 and 5 as well. For me, that's a very easy sell. Because there's no guarantee he'll be starting in Game Week 4. That's the Burnley game. And you're going to miss Newcastle away and Arsenal at home anyway. Get rid of him. In terms of players to go to, because he's 6 million, you can literally go to anybody that you want. I think at that price point, you're looking at Gabriel, Munoz, Gyokeres or Aït-Nouri. On Aït-Nouri, Vardiol's been pictured in training. Now, at the time of recording, we haven't had a press conference from Pep Guardiola, so I don't know if he's available. But with the formation they played last time, or at least the setup, with Aït-Nouri mostly being a left centre-back, Vardiol can play that as well. So if you've got Aït-Nouri, you're not selling him. But I don't know if I would buy him right now. So I'd probably more look at Gabriel, Munoz, Gyokeres. Gabriel's got Leeds at home this week, Forest at home in 4. We know his goal threat. He's always a good option. But I also like Munoz. Very attacking. Forest at home this week, Sunderland at home in Game Week 4. He also looks really good. Nothing wrong with Gyokeres either. I just think Gabriel and Munoz are probably my preferred players. So as is sometimes the case with FPL content, it can go out of date pretty quickly. On the Game Week preview video on Wednesday, I spoke about Eze potentially joining Spurs. Now it looks like he's going to join Arsenal instead. At the time of recording, that transfer hasn't happened, but it looks like it's quite likely to, and may well have done by the time you watch this video. And I also spoke about Gyokeres being a little bit unsure about him and his minutes because of Kai Havertz. And now he's got an injury and he's going to be out for a while. So that means Gyokeres' minutes are going to go up. There's less players that can sub on for him. And I'm pretty confident he's going to start most games anyway. On Gyokeres first, I still don't think that means you've got to rush out and transfer him in. If you've already got him, you should have been keeping for Leeds at home anyway. And if you're on free hit, you could definitely consider him now. I'll talk about that later on. But I just think after Leeds at home, it's Liverpool away, Forest at home, City at home, Newcastle away. It still doesn't look great. And also, I don't think it's completely out of the question he could still get subbed early. Like, would I be shocked if Arteta brings Marino on to play number 9 for like the last 5 or 10 minutes? Probably not. But without Havertz, Gyokeres' minutes go up quite a lot. And there is less chance of him getting subbed early and stuff like that. So I like him more as an option. I don't think we all need to rush out and buy him, but if you've got him, you're definitely keeping him. And I'm pretty confident he will get penalties. So you could even argue this week he's a slightly better captain than Saka. I think I still just about prefer Saka, but you could make the argument that Gyokeres is now a top option as well. With Eze, I've said all summer, at least while he's being linked to other clubs, that I'd prefer him for FPL at Spurs than Arsenal. So I think his minutes would be more secure in that number 10 role. I think for Arsenal, he's most likely to be used off the left instead of Martinelli, but he's not a left winger. He can play off the left, but he prefers to be a bit more central, coming in inside. He could play as like a left central midfielder potentially, but then if you've got Zubamendi, Rice and Odegaard, does one of those three players drop out? I'm not sure they do, not that often. So my assumption would be Eze coming in will just mean that Martinelli gets less minutes and Eze starts that side instead. But I still, and maybe this is just me being overly cautious with minutes, I don't know if he's absolutely nailed on to start every single game. And if he does, I think there's early substitutions that are possible as well. If like Zubimendi, Rice or Odegaard picks up an injury, completely different story, right? Because then he would take up one of those midfield roles. But I don't know, Martinelli is still there. Unless he gets sold, he's going to get used from time to time. Like Eze is the better player, I've got no doubts about that. But the idea that he's going to come in and play 80, 90 minutes like he would have done for Spurs, I don't know if it's quite the case. The good news is we don't have to worry about any of it because the fixtures are not very good. So we can just see what happens over the next 4 or 5 weeks and then make a decision after that. If we get to game week 7 when Arsenal have a fixture swing and Eze, and I'm completely wrong, and Eze is just playing 80 to 90 every single week, then he's a top option. But for now, just don't worry about it. And Spurs, unlucky. So if you haven't already checked out Fantasy Football Hub, make sure you do. They've got loads of tools that can help you win your mini leagues this season. If you do sign up at the moment, there is 50% off. And if you don't win your mini league, you can get your money back. Terms and conditions apply. All the links you need are in the description below. So one of the tools you've already seen me using in pre-season is the My Team tool. One thing I've not mentioned is the price change tab at the top. So if I just click that and just make this a bit bigger so you can see it, it will tell me when my player is likely to either rise in price or drop in price. Basically, if you get close to 100% green, you're getting close to a price rise. And if you get close to 100% red, that means a price drop. That's quite nice. You can see that quite quickly with your own team. If you're not sure what transfers to make, you've also got the AI transfers tool as well. So that'll look through your team and recommend transfers. It may also just say that your team is looking great, like I think mine is, and that no transfers are recommended. And there's a ton of other tools in the toolbox as well. So you've got the Opta Stats tool. I use that for all my videos, player points projections, fixture ticker, and a lot more. 50% off at the moment. And if you do sign up and don't win that mini league, like I said, you can get your money back. All the links you need to sign up and to get those terms and conditions are in the description below, or scan the QR code on screen. So let's go through some of your benching headaches for game week 2, defenders and goalkeepers. Right at the top of the defender list, I've got Reijnders from Crystal Palace up against Forest at home. Obviously, Burnley and Esteve have an easier fixture, but I just trust the Crystal Palace defence a bit more, especially at home. So Reijnders, if you've got him, in most cases I'd be looking to play him. He's not too bad for defensive contributions either. Then I've got Van Dijk, second on the list. One person asked me about him. Most people that own Van Dijk are just not even going to think about benching him. I probably wouldn't either. Newcastle away, not an easy fixture. Liverpool could absolutely concede, but they should be a bit better defensively with Gravenberch back. And even if they do concede, we know that Van Dijk's quite good for defensive contributions. He got 20 in the first game week, so an additional 2 points. And he's got goal threat as well. So I would probably be looking to play Van Dijk more often than not. Then I've got Esteve up against Sunderland at home. As I record this, I'm looking at that list thinking, can I really have a Burnley defender so high up? But essentially, if you've got them in your squad, this is the best fixture they're going to have all season. It's easier than Leeds at home, Leeds away, Sunderland away, etc. And every other team is a team that wasn't just promoted up to the Premier League this season. So I would probably play Esteve ahead of all of Milenkovic, Nico Williams, De Kuyper, Anderson and Porro. But if you're looking at it thinking, I just can't go through with that, I want to bench them, then that's exactly what you should do. Then I've got Milenkovic behind Esteve, just ahead of Nico Williams. I think his goal threat is a little bit higher. Defensive contributions from last season, they were both quite similar. So Milenkovic, then Nico Williams up against Crystal Palace away. Who knows? Eze might not even be playing in that game for Crystal Palace. I suspect, and I'm recording this on Thursday afternoon, that Eze will play in Europe for Crystal Palace and then potentially be signed by Arsenal before the weekend. We'll have to wait and see how that develops. Then De Kuyper. Away to Everton, not easy. It is Everton's first game at the new stadium as well. But if he's going to play left back and be fairly attacking, that's not a bad fixture. Like away from home against Everton, they're not a team that score a huge amount of goals. Trust me, I'm someone that owns Dewsbury Hall. I know what's probably going to happen over the next few weeks. Then Anderson against Man United at home. Then Porro against Man City away. It doesn't feel great to have Porro so far down the list, but the chances of Spurs getting a clean sheet in that game are so low. And yes, he'll be playing as a wing-back most likely, but that could even be just as a fifth defender, right? Could just be a back five more than a back three with wing-backs. So they're probably going to concede. Can he get attack and returns? Yes, but I think there's a lot of players on this list much more likely to get you that clean sheet. And as much as we talk about defensive contributions and attack and returns, that's still the bread and butter, the clean sheet. And I just don't think there's a very good chance of Spurs getting one this week. Goalkeepers, I've gone for Dubravka at the top, ahead of Sanchez. and then Sells in third place. They seem to be the three main goalkeepers people aren't sure about. If you're thinking you don't want to play Esteve and Dubravka, then obviously you can just hedge your bets, right? And maybe play Sanchez and Esteve or Dubravka and Milenkovic, whatever it might be. But I think individually, because it's Sunderland at home, I'd have Dubravka just ahead of Sanchez. There's really not that much in it. And there's not much in it with Sells against Palace away either. I just think that West Ham is a weaker team than Palace. Simple as that. That's why I've got Sanchez ahead of Sells. So there is quite a few benching headaches this week. Burnley in particular are causing people problems. I think they're a little bit better than I think they're a little bit better than what a lot of other people think, just because it's Sunderland at home. But it could be an absolute disaster. Let's be real. Burnley conceding this week will not be that much of a surprise. So let's get into some of your questions. My plan was always to do Havertz to a Man United player for game week 2. The original plan was to get Bruno Fernandes, but after game week 1, do you think Cunha or Mbeumo might be better options? So in pre-season, I also felt like Bruno was the best attacker from Man United. I don't know if that opinion has really changed after just one game. Like if you look at the stats from the Arsenal game, Cunha and Mbeumo did have higher goal threat. I think that's to be expected. They're playing in number 10 roles. Bruno Fernandes is a little bit deeper. He will still get forward, but not as often as those two. But he's still got some goal threat. He's still really creative. He is still on penalties. He will chip in with defensive contributions every now and again. When he gets an attack and return, he's often very good for bonus as well. So sometimes an assist can turn into like an 8 or a 10-pointer for him. So I still think he is the best pick of the three, but he's also more expensive. There's lots of players I think are better than others if you've got the money. If you're sat on Havertz and no money in the bank, I wouldn't be taking a hit to get Bruno Fernandes. I would just pick up Cunha or Mbeumo. So I don't think I'm ready after one game to say that those two are both better than Bruno Fernandes. That might be the case after a few more weeks, but I still think he's the best pick. But if you want to spend a little bit less money, obviously Cunha and Mbeumo are good too. Mbeumo's taking some set pieces from the right side. Cunha not really taking any. I have a feeling that over the course of the season, Cunha's goal threat will be higher, but I don't really have anything to base that on other than a gut instinct. So if I was buying one that wasn't Bruno, I'd probably go Cunha, but I can't give you many reasons why I think that's the case. It's just a gut feeling at this stage of the season. After another 5 or 6 weeks, my opinion on that might differ a little bit. So Bruno's still the one. If you don't have the money, I think it's Cunha over Mbeumo, just about. So with the Havertz news, would you change your free hit draft to include Gyokeres? So for anyone that hasn't seen it, I spoke about a potential free hit Game Week 2 team in the Game Week preview video, and it looked like this. Raya and Gabriel double up on Arsenal defence, Truffert from Bournemouth, Esteve from Burnley, then midfield 4, Saka, Palmer, Semenyo, Reijnders, then up front, Haaland, Watkins and Evan-Nielsen. Would I put Gyokeres into this team? Probably, because without Havertz, we know Gyokeres is going to start. There is still that potential for Marino or someone like that to come on and play number 9. But I just think with the Havertz news, Gyokeres' minutes go up. I'm pretty confident he's going to be on penalties as well. It does feel wrong, and I said that in the Game Week preview video, not to have double Arsenal attack. And I just think I probably would put Gyokeres in instead of Watkins. I would prefer to probably do it instead of Evan-Nielsen, but money is actually already quite tight for this team. So Watkins to Gyokeres, and then Gabriel to a different defender, possibly someone like Aït-Nouri from Man City. For what it's worth, if you want to drop one of Gyokeres or Saka on free hit, I don't completely hate it, because Arsenal defence is that good, and I like Raya in goal, and I like Gabriel as well. But it does feel wrong not to have both Saka and Gyokeres. You could even keep Gabriel, by the way, and just change Raya to a different goalkeeper. In fact, I'd probably prefer that. I just think Gabriel is so good. That set-piece threat, clean sheet looks pretty good. So actually, I'd probably keep Gabriel. Gabriel, Saka, and Gyokeres. Get rid of Watkins, and then just change your keeper. So probably following the Havertz news, I would want to put him in. So if you own both Haaland and Saka, who would you give captaincy to? All week when I've thought about this question, I've said Saka because it's Leeds at home, but actually I'm wavering on it a little bit. I'm pretty sure at this stage that Gyokeres is going to be on penalties. There's this stuff going around where a journalist in Sweden who knows Gyokeres' agent has said that he's on penalties. Whether or not that's true, right? It's another bit of information we've got. But also, Arteta did this quick fire video thing, asked who his best penalty taker was, and he said Gyokeres, right? So I think he'll be on penalties. I kind of already thought that, but we're getting more and more confirmation that's probably going to be the case. But also, when I thought about captaincy earlier this week, I was thinking even if Gyokeres is on penalties, 60, 65 minutes he gets subbed, then Saka takes them instead. and Saka will play the full game. But now Gyokeres' minutes are going to go up because of the Kai Havertz injury. So it does weaken Saka a little bit. I think if I own these two, I'd probably still lean towards Saka because it's a newly promoted team. But actually, is Leeds at home that much easier than Spurs at home? Honestly, like Leeds played really well against Everton, and I completely understand home to Everton is a much different proposition than away to Arsenal. But they are probably going to be one of the stronger newly promoted sides we've had for a while. And Spurs' defence was just terrible last year. So I think right now I'd just about say Saka, but the gap is definitely closing between the two. And if you want to go Haaland instead, completely understand it. So is it too late to buy Reijnders? Seems like a bargain for 5.6 million, but my midfield is quite expensive. I feel like most of my content this week has just been to try and get people to relax and tell them it'll be okay. Is it too late to buy Reijnders? Of course not. We're not even through game week 2 yet. And if you do end up getting him later on and he's 6.5 million, he's still probably going to be value at that price if he's getting the minutes and if he's given license to get forward. So it's never going to be too late. He does look like he could be insane value, but this idea that you have to go out and get him this week specifically is just not something I agree with. So we can all agree, great value, but in my opinion, hasn't become suddenly essential and not someone to rip up your team for. So if you're happy with your squad going into game week 2, feel free to roll the transfer. It will be okay. And he might go and return against Spurs, but I would still stand by the fact it's probably the correct decision for most people just to not buy him this week. You can get him later on, and of course it's not too late to do that. So is Elliot Anderson a minutes risk with the signing of Douglas Luiz? Ultimately, the more signings that Forest make in that central midfield area, and the closer we get to European matches starting, the higher chance there is that there's an impact on minutes, even for players like Elliot Anderson. But when I say that, I don't think he's getting benched anytime soon. He's such a good player. But in game week 1, he played 90. Once you've got Douglas Luiz and other players coming in, and you hit European matches, is Anderson going to play 90 at the weekend, 90 midweek, 90 at the weekend again, etc., over and over again? He might do, but I would say his minutes will be impacted a little bit. Now, if he's still playing 80 to 90, it's not a problem. If it starts going down to like 70 to 75, it's still not a huge problem, nothing to be worried about. It just impacts his chances of getting defensive contributions because the longer you're on the pitch, the more you can pick those points up. And obviously, defensive contributions are a big reason to pick Anderson in the first place. Either way, that's for much further down the line. By the time that potentially becomes an issue, and I don't even know if it definitely will, the good matches are already over and you might be looking to sell him anyway. So for now, if you've got him, absolutely no need to panic. He will 100% start against Palace away and West Ham at home. Got no doubts about that whatsoever, and probably will continue to start for a very, very long time. He's a super talented player. And even if you wanted to buy him right now, there's not a huge issue. So minutes risk is not what I would call it. I would say there might be a small impact to his minutes, which I think is slightly different, right? Anyway, if you enjoyed that, found it useful, please do give it a like and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to hit 500k at some point this season, if not next season. Either way, it takes 2 seconds, completely free to do. Check out Fantasy Football Hub, links in the description below, 50% off at the moment. If you sign up and don't win your mini league, you will get your money back. And I'll be back later on today for the deadline stream starting at 4:30 p.m. UK time. Do not forget it's a Friday deadline. I'll catch you later on for the stream.